Thank you very much. If I was to be brief in this, given that title, my statement will be it's very difficult, and I don't know how we'll do it. But I'll develop it a little over the next 20 to 25 minutes. And I'm going to be going through a historical sequence. When I did my A-levels, I didn't know whether I was going to be a geographer or a historian, and I actually tossed a coin, and it came up geography. But I'm actually very much historically based. So I'm going to go through, in a sense, a time sequence of what the European Union has been doing over a period of in excess of 25 years. So I'm not going to say, here's a strategy that's moving forward. What I'm actually saying is this is a very organic strategy that's been trying to address problems over to 25 years. And I'm doing it through a series of mind maps. Now, these, I think, will be made available for you after, so rather than take notes, I prefer you to sort of go to sleep gently and then ask me some questions. But these mind maps are PDFs that are playable and have all of the detail in them. So they will, I think, be made available. Let me also apologize in advance, because I'm part of the problem. I'm part of the problem of this inclusive, exclusive society. I'm part of the problem of the economic crisis. Firstly, I'm a pensioner. I may not look it, but I grabbed the opportunity to retire very early from Durham. I keep all my role in the university. I have what I tell people is the best academic job ever. I have my professorship. I have all the students that I want, but I only do DBA and PhD students. No undergraduate teaching, no administration, no examining. I don't answer to anyone except myself. And I went back and I started my second career. The second problem is that I'm part of the generation that's actually living too long and costing you all, at least the young people here, a lot of money. My sons and I had this discussion recently because I'm interested, as you'll see, in the aging society. And we've nursed my father-in-law through terminal illness in our home, and my sons were brilliant at that. And I said to them, I never, ever want to be put into a nursing home because I regard them as killing fields in the UK. And my youngest son said, no problem, Dad. He said, we're with no risk that we're going to spend our inheritance on keeping you in a nursing home. We'll find a solution somehow. It'll be humane, Dad. So I thought that was pretty good, pretty good. So here we are, a lot of wordy mind maps, but this is a timeline, and as I said, this will be made available for you. But the first point is, what we're talking about is a historical process. And if there's a book that I would recommend that you read, if you've not already read, it's called The Victorian Internet, and it's by the technology editor of The Economist, Tom Standage. Brilliant book, because it actually tells you that nothing here is new. And he talks about, in the 1800s, the development of the electronic telegraph. And when the electronic telegraph was being developed, it was going to deliver world peace, an inclusive society, economic well-being, innovation, and productivity that we would never have dreamt of before. What it did, as all of these technologies do, it has disruptive and unintended consequences, the most brilliant of which was it changed the relationship between government and the citizens of London. That before the electronic telegraph, the government would tell the Times, we're going to invade Calais tomorrow. We're going to attack the French, and the French ambassador would pick up the copy of the Times, go, "Allô!" write a message which would go on a horse all the way down, cross the channel, another horse all the way to Paris, by which time we'd actually beaten the hell out of the French in Calais. Once the electronic telegraph came in, the French ambassador could send an instant message, which meant that the government could no longer give that information to the Times. And the people thought the government is now keeping secrets from us. It's censoring. The relationship between the government and the citizens changed fundamentally because of the technology. And I read the book, it's fantastic, because it really puts into perspective a lot of what we're talking about here. So going right back into the sort of prehistory of this 2020 strategy that's trying to move forward, we need to understand that we've been trying to do this for a very long time. The G7 in 1995 had the vision of the Global Information Society, And the mantras were quite clearly there. Dynamic competition, we needed to change the regulatory frameworks in terms of access to technologies. We wanted to have universal access to the technologies. We wanted to make sure that we had diversity of content, linguistic and cultural diversity, and we wanted to create an inclusive society. So the framework of what the current 2020 strategy is trying to do has been there for a very long time. Europe has been also taking this forward in many years as well. Europe's way to the information society was 1994. The same sort of mantras were coming in. In 1999, it transformed into an e-Europe strategy, a sort of electronic Europe strategy, as the internet was really starting to take off. We sort of need to think back as well to what was it like in 1999 using ADSL lines, fairly slow internet access. I'm old enough to remember what were called acoustic couplers. I taught my students in the 1980s in Durham from home, sticking a telephone receiver in a thing which squawked at 240 bits per second. That was lightning speed. And I taught using that on a dumb terminal. It was great. I could sit with my glass of whiskey at 10 o'clock at night while my students were sweating in the terminal room in the university. So these dramatic things have changed. But e-Europe was trying to bring every citizen and every home and every school into an online digital age. So the mantra at the time was, let's try and make everything electronic, but at the same time trying to keep it socially exclusive. And there are a couple of milestones that we can use to look at the sequence of this, and these are the ministerial e-government conferences, the latest of which I think finished not a few weeks ago in Poland, the Polish presidency, I think in Poznan. But in 2001, the first of them took place in Brussels. And Erkki Liikanen was the commissioner for Information Society at the time. And I remember him bouncing around the exhibition with his statement, which was picked up by the press. He said, "Online, not inline." And here we had the previous view that we were all queuing up for government services, going to the ministries, going to the buildings, queuing, and as most people are doing in the UK airports today, I understand, queuing and being frustrated at not receiving service. Yeah. Is that okay? I get feedback otherwise. But so that was the goal. Fairly simple at that stage. Let's computerize everything. But there were 3 or 4 things that they were particularly interested in at that stage. One was participation.